What's up, beautiful people, and welcome to another episode of Don't Keep Up with the Joneses. 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 What's up, beautiful people, to another episode of Don't Keep Up with the Joneses. It's me, Rickey Jones Jr. We also have the so lovely
Chrystle Jones
back again for another video. Now we are in the car, so that should cue you if it doesn't already. It's story time, great people. Okay, like I said, we're excited to have this vehicle with the ability to do segments like this, and so we have multiple stories to share. However, two that are pertinent and necessary to share are the process to getting this here particular vehicle,
yes,
as well as what moved us out of our first apartment and that whole process, right? Because people have been asking, and so we have the ability to share. So let's do paper, scissors, rock to decide which one goes first. I'll represent the car story. You can represent the home story.
Okay.
All right. And paper, scissors, rock, shoot. Ooh. Scissors cut paper every day of the week. And so we will tell the car story first.
Okay.
Which is a good story. Largely because for those that have been attentive to our channel, right? And for those that are new, go ahead and click that subscribe button. I feel like it was a good space and time to go ahead and say that. As we are on our way to 50,000 subscribers, we have a giveaway for you all when we do get to that mark in time. But nonetheless, I put out a video letting you all know that I am looking for a Jeep. Where do you find a Jeep? Where's the spots to find a Jeep? And people gave me answers. Some people gave joking answers, but you know, life goes on. And I did find a space in a place in a store that had Jeeps the way I wanted them. And so we went there. We went there probably 2 times. It was all the way out in Pretoria, so it was like a drive. Every time we went, it was like a 30+ minute drive every time. But nonetheless, we went and the Jeeps were there, and I saw 2 that I really liked. And while there, however, Chrystle was like, I don't know, babe. Like, I don't know. I don't want you to force it. Like, so what did you mean by like, I don't want you to have to force it. I want it to be what you want. Like, what was your thought process with that?
I know Rickey likes to keep things in a very neat like way and very pristine. He takes very good care of his things. And I just feel like the Jeeps that he saw that were in the budget, well, for one, none of them were actually in the budget that he wanted it to be. Right. So
because they had Jeeps online that actually weren't there. The online store wasn't updated to what was physically there.
So that was strike number 1.
Yeah.
Like, there was a budget, but then it wasn't in the budget he wanted it to be. Then the second thing was, not only were they not in the budget, they weren't in the budget, but then they weren't even as nice as I would say Rickey likes to keep his stuff. So I'm like, we're gonna pay more for you to have less than what you actually wanted. Like, it just didn't make sense to me. In my mind, either we stick it to the budget or we blow in the budget. And if we not sticking to the budget, we gonna blow the budget on what you actually want. Like, so I guess like my mind just kind of goes in 2 ways. You know, I'm a person of faith, it's gonna come out. So my mind is like, either we gonna be like, well, no, like by faith we get in this vehicle, we feel like this is what God wants us to have in this season, and so we gonna get what we want. Or no, maybe it's better for us to have something else in this season, because while we wait to get what you actually want. And I just didn't want you to settle. They just weren't as nice and pristine as you would keep your stuff. Which
is true. Like, obviously I was mesmerized because the Jeeps were there and it was something that I've wanted and excited for. So I was mesmerized in what was there and overlooking minor flaws that could have been a major problem. And even like one that I was really looking at and kind of narrowed down on, there was like some issues going on with the roof, and he was like, oh, they might have did that because it could have leaked. But he was like, don't worry about it. When it's yours, we'll have it fixed. And I was like, okay. And so as we were like driving away, Chrystle was like, you know,
he couldn't test drive any of them.
Oh yeah, that was a thing too. I forgot about that. You could not test drive. He said you had to have like a down payment
already
given in order to test drive the vehicle. And I was like, well, I mean, that's weird. But then I was like, maybe that's cool because it keeps the miles down because people not just out here driving the vehicles. But, you know.
Nobody's driving it that much. I would say that's probably when I kind of tapped out. Like, because I really wanted Rickey to be able to get a Jeep. Like, our whole family has been talking about it. The kids have been excited. I've been excited. Like, he wanted one in Tampa, and I was fully supportive in Tampa. We were looking at some, and because we decided to switch Mr. Hansel's school, the budget was allocated elsewhere. But I wanted this for him. I really did. But I just didn't want him to settle. And when the man was like, Ricky's like, can I test drive? And he's like, no, you have to give us a down payment first. Why do I have to give you a down payment to see if I want to buy this? Right. Maybe I get in it, I hate it. Like, now I'm trying to get you to give me my money back. Like, I didn't like it. And then from there, I didn't say anything. I just was quiet. Wives, learn some things. Be quiet. Even we went back again after that. And I didn't say like, oh, I'm not going with you or anything. Like, no, I still went with him. And you know, I just said, okay, God, like, if it's for us to have it, like, you know, let me see that. But at the same time, like, if it's not for us to have it, then speak to him. You don't have to always use your words. You don't have to be, like, nagging. So I just sat at the table. I was calm. I let him take his time. I wasn't rushing him or anything. Like, but I was just like, we just gonna see what happens. Because...
And so the blessing is on the way. The blessing on the way. So that all happens. And in the midst of that, we left there. Chrystle was like, hey, maybe we should look into vehicles that are larger to accommodate guests that come. More specifically, like my parents, they'll be coming in the latter months, like November, December. And she was like, you know, when they get here, they not going to want to drive, which I get it. And so you want to try to have a vehicle that's conducive for them, knowing that they'll be here for like a month or so. And so I was like, okay, you know, you're right. And my mind, I'm like, no, we're going to all fit in this Jeep. We can lap up the kids, you know what I'm saying? Like, we can make it work. Like, that was going through my mind. I didn't say it, but I was like, you know, that can work. It can work.
If it's a week, yes.
Right.
But the time they're staying,
I mean,
not your mama. We ain't doing your mama like that.
I mean, truth be told, we see kids like doing all things in vehicles out here. You know what I'm saying? So
do.
The kids could have sat in the front seat. They could have sat in the middle. But, you know, she right? We do practice safety and being, you know, doing things the proper way, the right way, and being an example to the kids. So nonetheless, she said that. I was like, okay, all right. So I started looking online for vehicles that had 3 rows and, you know, start opening my mind to other options, because I was like narrow vision, Jeep, Focus.
All the way.
Don't say nothing to me about anything else. In my mind, I'm saying this.
I could, and in his demeanor and spirit, I could feel the pushback every time when I was like, so I just started sending him like pictures of other vehicles.
I looked at one and even look at the other ones. And so she didn't know it was in my phone. But nonetheless, I was open, right? So now I started looking at vehicles that were in the price range and under, right? And so, because I felt like we was gonna pay cash, right? Which that's a whole nother story as well. We're gonna share that story too. But in my mind, like, we paying cash for this vehicle, so let me do things the proper way and find vehicles within a certain budget. And so I started finding vehicles, smaller vehicles, SUVs and things like that, because I definitely wanted to have an SUV scenario just because of the roads. I wanted visibility and I just felt comfortable in an SUV. So I found vehicles, boom, 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 boom. We went to a Toyota dealership. That's when y'all saw us do the vlog with the brother Tato, T-H-A-T-O, at Melrose Toyota. Yep, run it.
Tato.
Boom, that. And so, phenomenal guy, phenomenal facilities. He showed us vehicles. He showed us a Mitsubishi Expander, something like that. It had 3 rows, in which I've never seen before. And I really don't know about the Mitsubishi brand, but they were like, oh no, it's very good. Mitsubishi's good, Toyota's good, Suzuki's good. And he was just selling us the idea that like Suzuki is the same thing as Toyota. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And he was like, this Mitsubishi is under your price range. It's a great vehicle, still on a warranty.
Very low miles.
Correct. Low
kilometers.
Miles. Boom. Boom. All of those things. And I was like, oh, okay. But I just didn't like it. Like, it just looked like...
Yeah, he didn't care for it.
It just looked like it was a crossover of a car and a van. and it was weird when I saw it together. And so I was like, nah, that's not it. That's not it. So then we started looking for other vehicles around, and then we saw one that looked like this on the showroom floor. And the kids ran up to it, loved it. They were all excited. They started jumping into the, not jumping because we are respectful. They started getting into the third row and was all excited. And I was like, oh, okay, you know, I could be open to this. Now the color there was like a brown, you know,
burnt bacon,
you know,
ish
type color. I was going to use the other word that it really looked like, but I want to be respectful to the listeners and the viewers that are watching. But nonetheless, it was there. So we got in and looked in. I was like, oh, okay, like, you know, I can vibe with this. Like, I can work with this. I know the Toyota brand. I know that it's a reliable vehicle. I know that it doesn't cost a lot to maintain. I know that I can get me from point A to point B for a long periods of time, and it's going to run until we turn the keys in. And so, like, it had all of those things that brought comfort. Obviously, we're in a new space, in a new place. I don't try to figure out whole mechanics and all. I don't want to deal with that. And so, cool. Asked my brother, Tato. I'm going to go with Tato. It means God's will. Boom. And so, my brother, we're going to have more information.
If we're saying it right.
Yeah. He's going to be on the channel again. But nonetheless, I asked him, hey, what about this vehicle? Like, what can you tell me about this? He was like, oh, yeah, that's a good vehicle. Whoop-de-woo. He was like, we actually have one that you can test drive, but it's not here. So I'm going to have to call up somebody. They can get it like 2 days or 1 day, and y'all can come back. And so it was like, okay, cool. Like, so at that point, what were you thinking? Let me ask you that.
I was thinking I was glad we had settled on, or we're on the same page about the type of vehicle that we would get that we felt was best for us while we're out here. Right now, because I would say even like we're looking at like a starter vehicle.
Correct.
It's not to say in a year we will still have just the same one. Right now we only have one vehicle.
Right.
I was just glad we were on the same page about getting a vehicle to start us off.
Yeah. And the kids were excited too.
Yeah, the kids are really excited. I was happy that it was, because we had looked at like another car too that you didn't care for, you didn't know the brand. So I was happy that you were able to feel good about good about the brand. You know, you've driven Toyotas a lot and stuff. So I was happy that we were making progress.
Yes. And so like she said, we did go to the Renault dealership, which, you know, I went there with the idea that like that's what the locals drive. Well, not all of them, but that's what we see on the road here that we're not accustomed to back at home. So I was like, oh, okay, let me do what the Joe Birds do, right? And so we went to Renault. I was considering a Volkswagen Polo, but everybody was telling us don't get Volkswagen, especially don't get the Polos because they'll steal your lug nuts, they'll steal your tires and things like that because it's a highly sought after vehicle. So I was like, okay, cool, stay away from Volkswagen. However, it was a brand that we knew and loved as well. Yeah. So, you know, those things were into consideration. However, we did go to Melrose and he told us about the vehicle. Cool. We came back. He said, oh man, I'm gonna just tell y'all up front, it's not gonna be in the budget that you all were looking at. However, you know, we can see what we can do about that Mitsubishi. And I was like, oh man, you know, oh, that sucks, right? Because I don't like the Mitsubishi, but I do like you, Tato. And so, but I said, but I found a vehicle, I found the same vehicle at another dealership. Yeah. And it was like
significantly less.
Right, it was in the budget.
Under the budget.
It was a little bit over, but it was like 20 to 25,000 rand less. And so I was like, hey, like, what about this? And he was like, oh yeah, you're gonna have to go there to get that deal. So saying that to say to my American family, here in our experiences, car shopping, the price is the price. There's no wiggle room. It is what it is. And they said they can make a deal. However, what you see is pretty much what it is. At the Jeep dealership spot, he was like, no, it is what it is. And when we went to Melrose, it was like, oh, we could try to make a deal. But it is what it is. So don't go into dealerships thinking you about to will and deal. We paying cash, so we thinking we can get it down. It was like, nah, the people make their money on financing. And we was like, oh, okay, we didn't even know that.
Yeah, I was going to say, especially with like a used vehicle, that's what he was saying. Maybe with like a new vehicle, there could be a little wiggle room, maybe. But especially with like used vehicles, they're really just like getting them off the lot.
Yeah.
So they price it at what they think is fair, and that's what it is.
Yeah. And even when you go in, they're very friendly, right? They're very friendly, very helpful. Ask you your range, and they'll show you vehicles within that range. And it's a good overall experience. However, boom, getting back to where we were, showed him the vehicle. He said, "Oh, you should go there." I said, "Okay, cool. Like I love you, bro. We're gonna connect. We're gonna connect again. However, we're gonna have to make this move because that's where the money is. Hello, we're going where the money reside." And so nonetheless, we go to the other dealership and pull up and we say, "Hey, we saw X vehicle online. We were interested in seeing it." And he was like, "Oh, really? Why?" And we told her why. We are a family of 4. We will have visitors coming. We want a vehicle that can accommodate them. He was like, "Oh, okay, cool." He was like, "I just lowered the price last night, and it was actually lowered 40,000 rand." So we went up to the vehicle, we saw the sticker price, it was like, "Oh snap, like this is not what was reflected
we're gonna have to head out."
This is not what was online. And so it was actually reduced 40,000 rand the night before he told us. And I was like, so it was the night that I saw it, and I was like, "Oh snap, look at God, like blessing us, keeping us within the range in which we wanted to be around." And God is just so good, merciful, and his grace is sufficient, right? And his favor went before us, even in the respect of the car buying experience. And so
very low kilometers on the car, so just like new, just like the other one. Like,
correct. Yeah, it had less kilometers on this one than the Mitsubishi, and even still within warranty, so we'll be able to get multiple oil changes within the warranty and all of those things, right? And so this vehicle is ours, but it's Toyota's as it pertains to like things, hiccups and things going wrong. But unless like it was beautiful going there. And so we told them we wanted the vehicle. They have to set you up a profile. They put the price in as it was reflected online, and we just started the process. And we told them that we wanted to buy it cash, and so boom shakalaka, we had it there. So here's the funny part. So this is our first time buying, well actually second time buying a vehicle cash. Our plan was to get a loan, an auto loan back at home to be able to purchase the vehicle, with the idea that, hey, let's just keep our cash in the bank and use other people's cash that will give us the loan.
So we could just pay it back over time.
Correct. And this was our first time doing that. So that part, it didn't work out the way we thought, right? The check was sent to our address back at the States, and
I was gonna have my mom send it to us, and she opened it and she was like, "Is this what you were looking for?" And I was like, "Huh?" I literally texted and I was like, "I think we misunderstood how this is gonna work." It was so funny.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, rookie mistake, okay? So obviously, said to say we haven't figured it all out. We're still learning some things in life.
Sure.
And what we learned is when you take an auto loan, they will issue, your bank will issue a check. The check goes to their dealership, and then you pay them back over time. Some way or another, we thought that the check that we received from the bank could go into our account, and
we would just pay it back.
That was a thought. It was
but I guess it makes sense that they wouldn't do that, because even though we're people that would pay it back, there are a lot of people that wouldn't pay it back, and then
or they may take out an auto loan but don't get a car. They'll just put the money in their bank and do other stuff with it. Like, that's probably what happened more so to say, why no, this check, because it's a check, it goes to the dealership, and boom shakalaka. So you know, we got to figure that out. We got to square those.
It would have took a long time. Probably. I mean, I don't know that it couldn't have worked, but it probably just would have taken. I don't even know how it works with like international, like if they were to let us use an international dealer, like, because even like how credit checks and stuff work is different here than over there. They don't have access to the US system to check your credit, like, so it's just a whole different thing. So
and meeting the dealer there, which is Nico. He's in a video where we did pick up the vehicle. Awesome guy. Great interactions with him. Great story, great family. Has family that lives in the States, in Texas, as well as family here. His wife is an entrepreneur, has a hair salon, and so many experiences he's lived in life, from being a rugby player and so much more. In which we're trying to get him on our channel. So y'all, like, shout out to Nico. Nico, I forgot the name of the dealership, but Nico, please come on the channel. Please come on the channel. Please come on the channel. Put it in the comment section and we'll show it to him. And we'll see if peer pressure get him on the channel. Yeah. But nonetheless,
coolest
awesome,
story
man.
ever.
Yeah.
McCarthy Motors.
Boom.
But yeah, coolest story ever. Because you know, while you're doing paperwork and waiting for files to load and different stuff, that's where we just ended up talking to him.
Yep.
And yeah, I was like so intrigued.
Boom, just like that. And then even with that, so we purchased a vehicle, paid cash, and in doing so, little tip, they said that in paying cash, you did not have to have insurance on your vehicle. Only when you finance do you have to have insurance. But we're people that just like to have things covered. And so we did get insurance on the vehicle. They had 3 different tiers. So another thing for my American family is that, being that we just moved here, we don't have any records of anything. And so we don't have like credit records, we don't have insurance records. So the lady told us that she's gonna have to like work with companies to allow for us to even have insurance. So they called some providers. They gave us the options of what we wanted to get, even as well as like coverage is concerned. And so we were able to pick which one we wanted. And so that even works with the dealership. So, which I would say, I love that, like, all-in-one process. Like, as far as you buy the car, they get your insurance together for you. They get your title, your registration for your vehicle, like all the things, like, it's all at the dealership. They do all of these things. And so that's really convenient. You're not out trying to go figure out from this place and that place. And for especially people moving into the country, not from here, like, that's so helpful. So now it wasn't. We do have to do one thing, because you do leave with a license plate. We call it license plate. I don't know what you all call it here, but there is one place we have to go to for the title. And so we'll take you all on the journey for that. But nonetheless, you were saying something was annoying. Yeah. Well, and I would say, even with that though, we just have to send them the information and they're doing this stuff. We just have to meet them. So yeah, they still take care of these things. So it's so helpful. But it was, what was I gonna say was annoying? Oh, how long it takes. So we're buying in cash. We have the money in our account, but like to wire it, because it was coming from a U.S. account. Now, if we had the money in our other account, then I'm sure it would have been faster. But because it was coming from a U.S. account, like, it took like 4 or 5 days. We went on a Thursday. And so then, of course, banks are kind of closed. Not kind of. They're closed on the weekends for the most part. And so we had to wait through there. So it wasn't until Tuesday that they actually received the funds. But I'm still grateful, because they said sometimes it could take up to like 10 business days. Like, so thankfully the money didn't take too long. But that's something to keep in mind, because we're thinking we're going to go buy this vehicle and walk off the lot with it. Same day. Because that's what that guy at that Jeep place kept saying. We're like, how long will it take to get the vehicle once we pay? He's like, oh, like 2 hours. Yeah, you already felt some type of way about that guy. But even with that, I will say it was crazy to find out that, so the process takes what it takes, largely because when you send the money, they want to, the dealership being the they want to see the money in their account, because people were sending money by way of wires, and they would issue them the vehicle, but then they would cancel the wire, and so they just had the vehicle, and technically it was stolen, but it was nothing they could do as far as the dealerships were concerned to go and retrieve the vehicle back. And so now they have like this safe-proof, fail-proof way of saying, no, this vehicle will not be issued until we see the money in our account. So even we sent them the notification, the confirmation that it was sent from our side, but they were like, oh, okay, that's cool, we gonna wait for our side, you know what I'm saying? Because we the ones that have gotten burnt before because of situations like this. So all those things to be in consideration. And I was gonna say, and I remember you even asking, like, why not track this person down? And they were like, yeah, by the time we realized they, you know, lied and they took back the money, like, they've already given them a fake address, like all this just fake information. So It was nothing they could do.
Because again, when you're buying in cash, like there's different checks or less checks, maybe I would say, than
Correct.
if you're financing. So it's just like, oh, they just want your a photo ID. They want your address.
Mm-hmm.
Like for us, they did want our visa because we're not from here. So I did need to give the visa and passport photo and all that. But it's like for somebody that's especially maybe more local or something, like you could just make a fake ID or probably something. And so they're like, we couldn't track them down.
Boom.
It wasn't possible.
Yeah. And all that to say, that was our experience that was our experience getting a vehicle from a dealership, right? There are local spots where you can purchase vehicles. However, I don't feel comfortable buying vehicles that way. I've never bought a vehicle that way, and I don't ever plan on buying a vehicle that way. And so I like going to a dealership because I want to make sure if something goes wrong with this vehicle, I can bring it back here, making sure you have a certified vehicle and a service department within the dealership, because we're all about long-term relationships, right? That's what we stand on, that's what we believe in, and that's what we execute on. And so we now have a relationship with Nico, we have a relationship with Tato, and even with that, we'll have a relationship with the service people there, because we're gonna take the vehicle to where we purchase the vehicle. And so, those were the things and experiences that we had in our car buying journey. Not to say that will be the case for you. However, now you know what to look out for if and when you make a move to Johannesburg to purchase a vehicle. And if you have any other questions about the car buying experiences, let us know. If we didn't say it and if we've experienced it, we'll speak to it. If we have not, we will not. You know what I'm saying? We only speak from our experience, because we were taught a person with an experience can never be swayed or at the mercy of a person with information. So we speak from experience, and that's what we share. So fun times, good times. So we have a vehicle, we're good to go. And we actually have to put some gas in it not too long from now, so that'll be a new experience in this vehicle, which is different because in the States we put gas in ourselves. Here they put gas for you. So even like I guess I'm gonna just tell them, I don't know, we'll see what that's all like. But yeah, any parts of the car buying part that we didn't say?
No, not really. I would just say I'm glad that we're on the same page. Like I would say, like if you're a couple, like don't make big decisions until y'all are on the same page. Like don't rush. Take time. Like the money to buy a car is not a cheap expense. Like
true.
Now you decide on dinner, like whatever, figure it out. Like try something different the next day. But when it comes to big decisions, like make sure you're both on the same page before you're ready to make a decision. Because I know if you would have just been so insistent and just bought this Jeep, I know I would have been upset every time I had to get in it. I'd have been upset if anything would have happened to it. I'd have been like, see, this is why you waste our money. Why do I listen to you? Like it would have spiraled in my mind. And so like it's important not to.
All right, so we had to make a adjustment because it was getting hot, and so we have to consider those things when doing these car stories. But nonetheless, you were saying to the couples, on the same page. Yeah,
don't drag your significant other into anything. Like it's not going to be worth it in the long run. Ever. Just take time, take the patience that's necessary to make sure you get on the same page, so nobody can later be like it's your fault. Like no, make team decisions. So
there it is.
I'm really glad that we got on the same page.
Boom shakalaka. So y'all know we're about love, we're about marriage, we're about family, and so that was a good family tip and marriage tip as well. Another thought that came to mind is they give you options, right? There's various options you can get with a vehicle. However, what we do recommend, as was said to us, is I love tent, right? Because I believe tent is necessary for being outside, even in the sun, right? And so I was like, I want to get the tent. He was like, oh, you want to get the smash and grab? I was like, I guess. I said I want the tent. And he was like, oh, we call it smash and grab. I was like, oh, why do you call it smash and grab? He was like, because if somebody was to hit the glass, it won't shatter. It'll just like catch in the film. And I was like, oh, snap. Like, I'm going to start calling it smash and grab instead of calling it tent. And so we did get that. And then they were asking if you want like some location services in your vehicle. It was like, okay, yup, that makes sense. So that's in here too. So those two things you want to make sure that you choose, right? You definitely want the smash and grab because just to protect yourself from the sun, but then there's also the safety feature that comes along with it, and then the tracking device so you know where your vehicle is. The thing is about the tracking device is that it doesn't stop the vehicle, nor will it tell the cops where to go. Essentially, it'll tell you where the vehicle is, and so you'll be able to track it if stolen and be able to get to it at a moment's notice. So that is the car buying experience and story, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. And like I said before, if you need to know anything else that wasn't said, let us know in the comment section below, or you can email us as well, and we will be attentive to you in that respect. So with that being said, we love you all. We appreciate you all. Make sure you stay tuned for the home change video, okay, and that story time, which is to come. So we love you. We appreciate you all. Till next time, peace. Make sure you subscribe.